On today's Locked On Thunder podcast, we're going to put Joe Mazzato in the hot seat to preview this season for the Thunder. What's the road to Oklahoma City repeating as champions?
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. I am your host, member, and beat writer for Thunder on SI, Rylan Stiles. Follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at LOThunderPod. Email the show, LOThunderPod@gmail.com. On today's show, we're joined by Joe Mazzato of the Oklahoman to dive into the season preview for Oklahoma City. What's the road to repeating for the Thunder? We're going to put Joe in the hot seat to answer all the burning questions before the start of this season. Again, you everydayers, make the show go around. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you. Joe, how you doing now? We sit here, Fry Pod, up until the start of the regular season on Tuesday. Final preseason game tonight. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, buddy. I like being on the hot seat, you know, little warm and toasted buns, if I'm allowed to say that here on the Locked On Thunder show. It's a comfortable place for me to be.
Yeah, you like to hop in your fancy car and put on your fancy seat warmer.
I don't
and
have
drive around
heated seats. I don't have heated seats. I don't roll as deep as you do, Rylan.
Wow. Well, we'll have to take a spin sometime and you can really enjoy the hot seat. But Joe, when you take a look at this season, obviously a lot will be made about the parity era in the NBA. The past 6 champions haven't made it out of the second round, and the Thunder seem poised to have a dynastic run in Oklahoma City after they've won their first championship this past June. First question, who's the most important player on this Thunder roster? But you can't say Shai. Of course, Shai is the superstar MVP. Who's the most important player not named Shai on this roster?
I'm going to go with your guy, Jalen Williams, J-Dub.
Okay.
I'm going with J-Dub because, not just because, you know, I don't even know if he's their second best player. He is right now until Chet Holmgren proves otherwise. But just going into the season, not knowing exactly when he's going to get on the court, I would expect it to be fairly soon. But you just never know, like if it's going to take him a couple weeks to respond, what he's going to look like out there, just coming off the wrist surgery. And I'm really like trying to dig deep for a good answer to this question because the Thunder is in such, you know, prime shape entering the season. But I think J-Dub is important just because you want to make sure he's back to, you know, being the J-Dub we saw last year, a guy who, despite that wrist injury, scored 40 points in a finals game, made All NBA. I think it's you know, you just want to make sure he's back to being J-Dub.
I like that answer. Not only is J-Dub awesome and did he score 40 points in the finals, and he was just a great number 2 option, but for as much as the Thunder have depth and they have an abundance of talent, hypothetically speaking, like the one person who you can't recreate their impact is J-Dub. Like, you can't recreate his ability to be a number 2 scoring option, and you can't recreate his ability to truly defend 1 through 5. Like, this team has a lot of elite defenders. They have defenders who are better than J-Dub individually as a vacuum defender, but his uniqueness of being so great defensively and so versatile defensively, plus his number 2 scoring option prowess, like you just can't replicate that. Now, if someone else was out of the rotation, you have redundancy in some spots to get by, but him and Shai, you just can't recreate them in the algorithm, as Billy Bean would say, played by Brad Pitt. So we're not going to be able to do that with Jalen Williams. But number 2, Joey, who would you bet your mortgage on that will have a breakout season for Oklahoma City?
Am I just answering? Are you not answering these as well? Just I know it's your show. I don't want to overstep, but
no,
geez.
Yeah, you're on the hot seat. So I'm going to do a full season preview on Monday. But I want you on here. I also agree with you though that it's Jalen Williams. That's why I went on that whole soliloquy that you might have ignored So I did answer number one. I agree with J-Dub, but the question number two is who would you bet your mortgage on that will have a breakout year for OKC?
I mean, you're just getting off easy today. I'm doing your work for you. You're just cashing the checks. Breakout season. I got to ask you a question here.
Yeah.
Has Chet Holmgren broken out?
I mean, that depends on what you think his ceiling is. Like, I think that if you believe Chet Holmgren will make an All-Star team and an All-NBA team, and has the potential to change the way this offense functions, then I think that that's a breakout season. So it's like, if you think he's going to reach that potential, then he then would have a breakout season this year. If you think that he's going to be a fine 3-point shooter but an elite defender, then I think that's kind of more the same. So it just depends on what you think that this season looks like for Chet. He can still have a breakout season right here.
On this very show, Rylan, I picked him to make All-NBA second team. That's a breakout. So I'm going with it. I'm going with Chet Holmgren as my breakout guy. If he's going to be one of the 10 best players in the NBA, he might be in like most improved conversation, taking that star to superstar step that we glorify so much. I do think he's going to add more to his offensive game. I think he's going to be just the guy he's been defensively. It really is like, does he have some more, playmaking juice? Does he take a step in that direction? Because like you said, we know the rim protection, we know the spot up threes, but can he show more kind of offensive creativity? So Chet Holmgren is my breakout pick.
I like that. I mean, I think that it's a good pick as well, just because he's already a top 3 defender in the league. Like, just with what he can do at the rim, what he can do with his ability to switch on to guards and switch into the mid range, and we saw him in the finals just shutting things down. Like, the Thunder did not win that title without Chet Holmgren, and people kind of forget that because we so often put a lot of stock into the offensive side of the floor and not enough into the defensive side of the floor. They're like, Chet. Without Chet, that team does not win. That team does not get their one title. So he's going to be there defensively as like a guy who is considered a breakout player, as long as he, of course, plays the season, which we're not predicting injuries. And then offensively, he's shown you at every level that he can shoot from three. I feel pretty confident that this is a year he puts it together and shoots 37, 38, 39, 40% from three. And then with that, he showed you in the first 9 games last year that he can play off the catch. And the first 9 games last year, he looked that of an all-star, all-NBA player. So how close to that version of Chet can you see him get back to now, a year removed from his hip fracture? That's a very interesting question. And because we've seen him do it and we've seen him play at that level in a small dose, I'm willing to bet that it'll happen in a bigger sample size this season. So I would say Chet's a good answer. Another answer could be AJay Mitchell, just because.
Yeah. I was going to spoil it. Everyone knew Rylan was going to pick AJay Mitchell.
Yeah, everyone did know that. I'm an AJay Mitchell guy. However, it's also, if you're taking the question literally, like you're betting something so important as to your mortgage, like the path to AJay Mitchell, quote unquote, breaking out is much cleaner and simpler to me to see. Like, I could see a world where Chet is kind of the same old offensively, which is still a good player and it's still a viable player for this team. But because he's playing in the double big lineups and because he's still, even to this date, not quite a year removed from the hip fracture after a shortened off season, and he's still an elite defender, they're like, it's not necessarily a breakout season. It's just a very good season. It's just a very good season to help this team try to win. With AJay, I just think that he's going to have a breakout season by nature of perception of even if he does the exact same stuff he did a year ago, he's going to be playing more minutes. He's going to be healthier. He's going to be in the rotation, and people will view him as a breakout player. It's like, you look at what he's done this preseason. He played the one game in Indiana. He got downhill and got to the free throw line a couple of times, and people were losing their minds, like salivating about his free throw attempts in that game. Folks, this guy got free throw attempts in the real regular season as a rookie. He was a top 5 free throw rate guy. He was the only guy that was getting free throw attempts in the middle of that season, not named SGA. Whenever the Thunder were crying about fouls, rightfully so, because they had a historically low free throw rate, he was the only guy that could get to the free throw line. Like, we've already seen this happen, but people have forgotten that. So I think it's just easy to envision like AJay being considered a breakout player. But I personally am like you. I'm willing to put my eggs in the Chet Holmgren basket because that's how much I believe in Chet Holmgren. But I could see a more cautious approach being for a guy like AJay Mitchell.
I like when you break out the folks. It really, really,
Yeah,
I
you
don't
like
know.
that?
It's powerful. AJ is the obvious answer. I am not like, of course Rylan just picks the low hanging fruit here, but there's not a lot of breakout candidates.
Yeah.
I mean, Shai can't break out. He's already done it. Same with Dub. We know what Caruso is. We know what Dort is. Sorber's hurt. He's a rookie. Topic,
I'd say Topic could break out because there's so many people, including myself, who don't know what his role can possibly be for this team, and who aren't like all in on Topic, and there's a lot of people who are all in on Topic, and no matter what he does, there's going to be some overreactions one way or the other, and so if he all of a sudden becomes a top player in this rotation, if he does take that secondary point guard role and stake claim to it, I would consider him breaking out. Even though
can a rookie break out?
Well, yes, that's a good point. Even if we have nothing to compare it to, I'm talking breakout in the sense of like changing our perception and changing the consensus around who he is. The consensus around Topic right now, while he does have a ton of like supporters and he does have a ton of people who are all in on him already, he also has a ton of guys, a ton of people talking about him in the same vein of like, misunderstanding who he is and what he can be. So I think that if he can clear a lot of that up this season with quality play, and then he can be a guy who we look back on and say, well, we didn't factor him into this team enough in October.
Yeah. Well said.
Thank you, Joey. That's what they pay me to do here at Lockdown Thunder. Coming up, are the Thunder going to repeat as champions? A question that only Joe Mazzato will answer today on today's Lockdown Thunder podcast. But first, I want to say right now, my good friends over at Wayfair, Joey, you have a fantastic abode. The holidays are going to be here before you know it, which is exciting. It gets your home ready for guests and celebrations. It can feel a lot more comfortable to you if you go ahead and start planning right now, because maybe, you want to serve a refresh to your guest room or to your living room in the holiday season. You can make sure Wayfair is there for you. So have all of your holiday ready needs, from Christmas trees to wreaths to bedding to cookwares to outdoor inflatables. It's your one-stop shop for every room in the house. You've got little tykes running around, nieces, nephews, and whatnots. You put some Christmas lights on the house and making it a fun event to go stroll by the Joey household. I'd love to drive by your house decorated in Christmas attire. So make sure you check it out at Wayfair today and personalize your home for the holidays with their huge selection, every style and budget in mind, with the free and easy delivery system, even on big stuff. So you can make sure you get everything you need without the hassle of huge delivery fees or going out to the store yourself. Go check them out today because, again, Christmas trees, hand up. I don't have a Christmas tree yet. Wayfair is going to solve that problem for me right after this show. Get organized, refresh, and ready for the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now and shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. We're back on the Lockdown Thunder podcast, on the Lockdown Podcast Network, your teams every day. Joe Mazzato, the Oklahoman, OKC Dream Team, where you can find both of us here on the hot seat, covering the Thunder and previewing the Thunder with this season preview. Joe, question 3. This one I wonder if we have the same answer for. And this is I'll admit to you, very hard question.
It's the hardest question you've ever asked me in your life.
I don't know if that's true, but we don't need to get personal. Who is the Thunder's best defender? And there's so many ways you can go with this question that I'm just curious where your mind has gone after I've sent you an outline for over 24 hours now, and you've had time to digest this. Where has your mind gone?
Okay. I don't have a straightforward answer to this question.
Of course you don't. You never have a straightforward answer to anything.
I'm gonna say Lou Dort.
By the way, you no longer get to make jokes about Mark anymore after this performance here, because after the Case and Wallace shot, you asked Mark on the spot, Johnny on the spot, have you ever been a part of a shot that crazy? And I'll admit he gave you a little bit of a dud answer, honestly, but he didn't have 24 hours to mull this over and then still say, I'm gonna admit to you that I'm gonna give you a convoluted, terrible answer. Like, you've had 24 hours to think about this. Mark had 2 seconds, and then you had the nerve to pull him off the dais and give him the third degree. So, Joey, that's a technical foul on you, buddy.
I'm saying Lou Dort. That's a firm answer.
Good.
Lou Dort is the best at what he does. I think he's got the hardest job. However, I think Chet Holmgren is the most impactful defender. What's the difference between best defender and most impactful defender? I don't know. I just made it up because I wanted to mention both of those guys. But I just feel like Lou Dort, what he does night in, night out, is the hardest job in the NBA. Sure, maybe it's a lifetime achievement award. I think you are going to say Chet.
So I think that Chet plays the most important position in terms of being a defensive anchor, being an elite rim protector, and like being able to, like we mentioned, some of his best plays in the finals were not just getting blocks at the rim; it was sitting down in the mid range and deterring shots and blocking shots and helping this team out on an island. So like his ability to be versatile and play what is widely agreed upon and consensusly agreed upon as the most valuable function of NBA defense, I think gives him the nod for, like you said, most impactful. It's interesting to take the talent angle and to take the angle of like how hard you're working, because what Lou does defending these, I mean, you can look at his numbers and pick up Lou Dort's numbers against any NBA superstar juggernaut scorer, and their averages against Lou plummet compared to what they average against anyone else. And it's like that. It's hard not to give that credence. We talked about J-Dub earlier. Like, J-Dub it's not a buzzword to say J-Dub, and a buzz phrase to say J-Dub can defend 1 through 5. He legitimately can defend 1 through 5. So how do you not credit him as an all defensive caliber guy who can defend 1 through 5? And we haven't even spoken about Alex Caruso or Casey Wallace, or Brooks Barnhizer. It's like, you laugh. Brooks Barnhizer would be a lot of teams' top 3 defender and number 1 defender on some teams if he was somewhere else. So I'll say Chet because of what's been beaten into you about like how important rim protection is.
Yeah, the value of it.
Yeah, which I agree with. The value of a Chet Holmgren defensively. One more point for Lou, though, is that Lou is so good defensively that Isaiah Hartenstein is a quality NBA defender. I don't want to take anything away from Isaiah Hartenstein. He is, without question, a worse NBA defender than Chet Holmgren is. But it's not like he's bad. He's just not as good as Chet. Even with iHeart in there and no Chet, Lou Dort still more than does his job, and he doesn't rely on having an anchor behind him. It's like that can push Lou Dort up people's worlds and up people's minds of this question. So perhaps we should vote for Lou here. But at the end of the day, just one question on
also, if you say like who's the best perimeter defender in the NBA, if you wanted to, I know it's not a one-on-one league, but if you wanted someone to lock up an opposing perimeter star, I'd say Lou Dort.
Yeah, I like that.
If you ask me for the best rim protector, one guy I could choose, I wouldn't pick Chet. So maybe that's the distinction.
Ooh, who would you pick? Are you just one of those writers who are just?
I'd pick the young Frenchman in San Antonio.
Yeah, of course you would. Of course you would. You're just all in love with San Antonio. Is anyone going to San Antonio or Phoenix, Arizona? Joe, what is the Thunder's best lineup this season? What you think is going to be their best group of 5 to help them win?
Okay, so we've talked about the starting lineup that we'd like to see the most. This is a lineup that I don't think we saw a ton of. Trying to find my notes here. You sent me this wonderful outline. Okay, how about this lineup for you, Rye Guy? Shai, Dub, Dort, Caruso, and Chet. Now,
I like that.
That lineup's never going to start because they're not going to start Caruso. And we've talked about Kaysen in there.
It's not about starting, by the way. It's just what the best lineup is.
And I think Caruso is better than Kaysen. So, that's my favorite lineup.
Yeah. Listen, I think that you're right on this one. With all that you just said, the reason that I still put Kaysen instead of Caruso is that the semantics of it all, of like, well, can their best lineup be a lineup that doesn't play as much? So, like, if the Kaysen lineup instead of Caruso and the lineup that you just described, if that lineup is 4 points worse or 3 points worse than the Caruso lineup, yet it played 500 more minutes, like, at that point, do you lean with the Kaysen lineup being actually better than the Caruso lineup because it played so much more? So, like, the volume of how much I trust them to play the lineup of Kaysen in place of iHeart, or the traditional starting lineup, that I think that will kind of be their best lineup. But yeah, if I had to go win a possession, not knowing the opposition and not knowing the opposing team's lineup, that's the lineup what you just gave us that I'm putting on the floor. I'm putting Shai, I'm putting Dub, I'm putting Caruso, I'm putting Chet, I'm putting those guys on the floor.
Yeah.
If I just need to go get one stop and one score. If I knew that we're playing a bigger lineup, obviously, and I was the head coach of a team like the Thunder that had a ton of versatility, that changed my mind as well. But I would enjoy watching and think that the most effective way for this team to play is going to be having Chet at the 5 offensively and a slew of perimeter attack guys with Lou, with AC or Kaysen, with Shai as a help side defender, and then J-Dub adding in some strength alongside J-Dub. Alongside Chet, we've seen him be able to do that down low, and then also being just a great defender all over the court. And then him being the secondary scoring option, Chet knocking down threes with more space to operate at the center spot offensively, and Shai being Shai, Lou being Lou, what he's been for the last couple of years as a 40% three-point shooter. So this one does not have to be a good lineup. But what's the Thunder's most fun lineup for you personally? And by fun, again, since it doesn't have to be good, it can just be something that you think could be wacky that Mark will do, or that you're just interested to see. You don't know that it'll be good or bad. You're just interested to see what it looks like.
Yeah, this is fun in the scariest of ways. A little Halloween theme for you, Rylan.
Oh, the Monster Mash.
Okay. Kaysen, Dort, Dub, Caruso, and Chet. Good luck scoring.
What kind of lineup have you concocted here?
Look, it's semi-realistic. It's semi. You've got Kaysen and Dort in the backcourt. You've got J-Dub guarding anybody, Caruso guarding anybody, and Chet at the rim. I don't care if they can't score. No one's going to be able to score against them.
You're so Mark Pilled. You're so.
Okay. Name the 5 best defenders on the Thunder. Go now. Name them.
No, you just named them. I just
named them. Put them all on the floor together.
But that is that's not. I mean, of all of the lineups that you could have chosen for this hypothetical podcast and the season preview podcast, you could have talked about Shai, and you could have talked about seeing Topic. You could have talked about AJay Mitchell's leap. You could have talked about facilitating it to Chet more offensively. And instead, you're like, you know what? At 10 in the morning, I want to sit here and talk to you about grit and grind defense and grinding out games and really imposing our will against the Charlotte Hornets on a Tuesday night.
Would it not be fun to see if like a team could dribble against those guys?
It would be incredibly fun. I'm just giving you a hard time. It would be great fun. And every time that they go to this lineup where Kaysen is the one, it's the Joey Pods lineup. It's the Joey special. Philly special, no, Joey special on the lineup for that. I'm interested to see, and again, I don't know how good it will be, and I've been more reserved on Topic than most have, but I'm interested to see lineups that include Topic and Shai. Don't care who else is around them, just Topic and Shai, because Mark has talked about them working together in training camp, and and letting Shai kind of work off the ball a little bit and seeing what that looks like so far through 2 halves of preseason that Shai's played. He's gotten more off-ball catch and shoot opportunities than he usually has baked into his shot diet. So how good is Topic as a playmaker? How much stress can he take off of Shai as an on-ball player? I'm just interested to see what that looks like here in the, at the end of November or December, whenever Topic comes back. So that's my most fun lineup coming up. Let's get down to the brass tacks of things. Who's the NBA champion? Who's the biggest threat to Oklahoma City? And more. But first, I want to say right now, my good friends over at FanDuel, go check out FanDuel today because FanDuel is incredible, folks. The NFL season is here. The NFL season is so much more interesting when you use our good friends over at FanDuel. You place your first $5 bet, and if it hits, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app at FanDuel.com today. If you're only into the NBA, do not worry. They have opening night lines already out there for Tuesday's opening night game, Thunder Rockets. Thunder 8.5-point favorites over Houston. And with FanDuel, you can do player props, you can bet parlays, you can do the spread, you can do whatever you want, even take live lines during games if you miss kickoff or the opening tip. And it makes watching football, basketball, all these sports a little bit more exciting to have something on the action, something to keep you invested in, whether you're a casual fan or you're just a fan, you're just not really a fan of either team playing tonight, for example, on Thursday Night Football. You can just enjoy it with some extra motivation at FanDuel.com. Visit FanDuel.com today, download the app, and get started at FanDuel.com. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast and the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. You're talking Thunder basketball with Joe Mazzato. Joe, I'm taking away the low-hanging fruit from you. You can't say health, but whom or what controls the Thunder's ability to repeat?
Nikola Jokic.
Ooh,
how about that? A little thinking
Icy.
outside the box. Yeah, I think the Nuggets are so clearly the Thunder's biggest competition in the West and really in the league. And he's still the consensus best player in the world. And we saw how scary he is in a playoff series with a so-so to bad supporting cast. And I really liked what the Nuggets did in the offseason. So yeah, I think like Jokic is the biggest obstacle standing in the Thunder's way.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I've been thinking about this in terms of more Thunder focused, and that's been their 3-point shooting. I think can hold them back if they don't have it figured out, and they're not better than 13th out of 16th from 3-point land in the playoffs this year. Which along with that, their half court offense has really labored at times, and especially last postseason in the Denver series and in the Indiana series. No need to have concern to me because you have such avenues to fix that. If Chet's better offensively, it fixes that. If AJ or Topic can give you anything, it fixes that. So like there's paths on this team to fix that quote unquote problem, but it is worth noting that could be something that still is an issue, and if it is still an issue, not great for their offensive success in the postseason, even for as great as we expect their defense to be.
The craziest thing is, even with as clunky as it seemed at times, with as much as it got bogged down, they still won it. And
still did.
I always think back to that Sam Presti press conference after the Mavs series loss, talking about how dribble wins in the regular season, but you got to win in the postseason with the pass. And the Thunder won in the postseason despite the pass. Really low, even total pass numbers in the regular season. I think they were bottom 5 in total passes. So I don't, at some point you just have to rely on what your best player does. And that's just not Shai's play style. But I don't ever think it's going to be the beautiful game Spurs, but I do think there can be more improvisation. Like Presti talks about jazz and how he wants it to resemble that. Like, I still think Sam wants this team to adopt not a different play style, but just a more flowing play style. I don't know if it'll happen, but And it's a question I don't think is going to be answered in the regular season. I think we're going to
Yeah.
have to see what it looks like in the playoffs.
Joe, who are the three big challengers to this team? And you can do East, West, doesn't matter. Just give me three teams who if you had to pick three of them right now, you'd say the biggest threats to the Thunder.
I'm going Denver is a clear number one. I'm going Houston. I'm lower on, like, I might take the under on Houston's win total in the regular season. I just think they'd be a really tough matchup for the Thunder in the playoffs. Just with the amount of big wings they have, big guards, and just that the weirdness of that double big lineup. And we've seen for years now the Thunder has rebounding issues. Obviously, Hartenstein helped seal those up, but I think Houston could be kind of a messy series. And then I'll go New York in the East. Again, I think they have Bridges and Anunoby to throw at Shai. Maybe Mike Brown figures something out offensively. But yeah, I'll go those three teams.
I like that. I'm gonna go with Denver, Cleveland, and then Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Denver, to me, I'll be honest with you, Joe, and you know how I like to be rational, and you know how I like to be, tempering expectations. But the only team, as the current roster sit today, that I think should be able to beat the Thunder in a 7-game series is the Denver Nuggets.
Agreed.
I don't think anyone else can beat the Thunder in a 7-game series. And I think that even in that Denver series, like, the Thunder are still favorites to win that series. But it would make logical sense. You wouldn't have to do much convincing to tell me that the Thunder lost in 7 to Denver. But if you tell me that you're from the future and the Thunder lost to anybody else in the playoffs, I would be floored that happened. So Denver, number one with a bullet. Cleveland, just because, hypothetically, if they get to a point of playing each other as contenders, where it's the finals, that means that Cleveland's made it through the Eastern Conference playoffs for whatever that's worth. Not a great conference. However, it hasn't been a great conference for a long time, and they flamed out for a long time in the playoffs. Something's gone wrong for them in the playoffs every time, whether it be health or execution. This means that they figured it out. And if you have the Cleveland team that's figured it out, and you have Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, a double big lineup, the depth on their roster, and the optionality of their team, that can make life difficult on the Thunder. Again, I still favor OKC, but that can make life more difficult than some of these other teams can. And then I'd say Houston, just because of their defense. Like, if you get games into the mud enough, all it takes is one bad bounce for one side, one good bounce for the other, and they win the game at the end. So you don't gain that separation that you typically think of when you think of this Thunder team, especially with their historic point differential. So those are my three contenders, I'd say, for the Thunder. Now, Joey, I want to know, who is your MVP this season?
My MVP is Nikola Jokic.
Okay.
Because I just think it's going to shift back to him. Like, the MVP race gets into the psyche of the voters, and I think Shai was deserving of it last year. However, like, I think if the stat lines are basically even again this year, I just don't think the Thunder is going to be how many games they finished ahead of the Nuggets this year. I think it's going to be closer. I think that was the tiebreaker in Shai's favor. I also think there could be some regrets of like everyone knew Jokic was the best player in the world. We didn't give him the MVP. Let's give him the MVP again. That's how I see this thing going.
Now, could I convince you of any interest in Giannis's MVP market?
Because you could.
Like, my thought process about Giannis is just rooted in the fact of, like, he's an awesome player. He's going to put up MVP statistics. And what's his gimmick? Like, you voting types, like, you guys need gimmicks and narratives on this stuff. You don't, like, need hoops, really. So it's like, if these downtrodden Bucks who have been left for dead are all of a sudden a top 4 team in the East, and it's going to be, if that's the case, it'd be entirely because of Giannis and entirely because of what he's doing, then he'd at least have a storyline to fall back on, because it is about storylines more than like anything else. And he'd have his storyline to be like, okay, that's the MVP.
I think Milwaukee would have to finish like at worst third and pretty close to those consensus top 2 in the East for that to happen. All the trade stuff would have to be put to rest. Like, look, he put that behind him, committed to Milwaukee, had this great season. Like, I could see that. Yeah.
Joe,
Yes.
time has come.
The time has come.
Give me your NBA Finals matchup and your NBA champion on the record right here today.
I'm going the blue and orange versus the blue and orange. The Oklahoma City Thunder versus the New York Knicks. And the Thunder, Rylan Stiles, repeats as champion.
Wow.
I'm with you. Like, I think if they get past Denver, they're going to win it, because Denver's the only team that I can see dethroning, unthroning, whatever throne, takeawaying. That's the only team I see topping the Thunder. And I think that I would pick the Thunder probably in 7 if they played today, which they're not.
Against the Knicks or the Nuggets?
No, against the Nuggets.
Okay.
The Nuggets. Knicks, I don't know. 5. 6.
Yes, 5. Like, are you kidding me? All due respect to New York.
You don't like the Knicks, huh?
Not against the Thunder. I think that the Knicks could make the finals, which is inherently a great season, especially for Spike Lee's crew. But when you're talking about them playing the Thunder, what are they going to do with Cat? What are they going to do with Brunson?
Yeah, it could be bad.
It can be bad, man. Like, they can't take them off the floor. They also can't defend a snail. So what are they going to do whenever Shai and J-Dub are ramming down your throat? Pause. So I just think that the Thunder against the Knicks is a fun pick. Thunder in 5. Hit to the old pocketbook to head out to New York.
Imagine us on the streets of New York, though. The mean streets of New York.
Yeah, I'm walking here.
Yeah.
I got bagoo. I'm walking here. Hey, I go to Little Italy. I get a little pizza, man. Hey. Should we hit up a little dive bar? A little pizza joint?
Yeah, I heard there's a lot of options.
Yeah, I've heard you can get into a lot of trouble in New York as well.
Yeah.
Well, perhaps you'll find Joe and I in MSG.
So we got to stay tuned for your big prediction.
For my finals one, yes. That's on Monday's show. Monday's show.
I'll be tuning in.
I'm sure you will. Great tease, Joe. Fantastic tease. Tuesday, Monday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time is our Locked On Thunder live show. It's Monday and Thursday, 2 p.m. Central Time with Derek Parker. Monday, in your normal morning daily show, will be our season preview, full stats, full standings, full awards, full prediction of how this season will play out. Tuesday, we'll have our best, worst, and most likely case scenario for the Thunder season, as we do every single year. And of course, we're your 5-day-a-week Thunder podcast, and after every single game, and Monday and Thursday, 2 p.m. Central Time on Locked On Thunder Live. Joe, you're from the Oklahoman. You can find both of us at the OKC Dream Team. You hop on Locked On Thunder every now and again whenever I can get you an outline and allow you to fully prepare, because God forbid you have to riff like you're a bass player on the Grateful Dead. Until next time, be good and be good to one another.